Disunity, drawled James Taggart, seems to be the basic cause of all social problems. My sister has a certain influence with a certain element among our stockholders. Their disruptive tactics cannot always be defeated. You said it, Jim. Disunity, that's the trouble. It's my absolute opinion that in our complex industrial society, no business enterprise can succeed without sharing the burden of the problems of other enterprises. Taggart took a sip of his drink and put it down again. I wish they'd fire that bartender, he said. For instance, consider Associated Steel. We've got the most modern plant in the country and the best organization. That seems to me to be an indisputable fact, because we got the Industrial Efficiency Award of Globe magazine last year. So we can maintain that we've done our best, and nobody can blame us. But we cannot help it if the iron ore situation is a national problem. We could not get the ore, Jim. Taggart said nothing. He sat with his elbows spread wide on the tabletop. The table was uncomfortably small, and this made it more uncomfortable for his three companions, but they did not seem to question his privilege. Nobody can get ore any longer, said Boyle. Natural exhaustion of the mines, you know, and the wearing out of equipment, and shortages of materials, and difficulties of transportation, and other unavoidable conditions. The ore industry is crumbling. That's what's killing the mining equipment business, said Paul Larkin. It's been proved that every business depends upon every other business, said Orrin Boyle. So everybody ought to share the burdens of everybody else. That is, I think, true, said Wesley Mouch. But nobody ever paid any attention to Wesley Mouch. My purpose, said Orrin Boyle, is the preservation of a free economy. It's generally conceded that free economy is now on trial. Unless it proves its social value and assumes its social responsibilities, the people won't stand for it. If it doesn't develop a public spirit, it's done for. Make no mistake about that. Orrin Boyle had appeared from nowhere 5 years ago and had since made the cover of every national news magazine. He had started out with $100,000 of his own and a $200 million loan from the government. Now he headed an enormous concern which had swallowed many smaller companies. This proved, he liked to say, that individual ability still had a chance to succeed in the world. The only justification of private property, said Orrin Boyle, is public service. That is, I think, indubitable, said Wesley Mouch. Orrin Boyle made a noise, swallowing his liquor. He was a large man with big, virile gestures. Everything about his person was loudly full of life, except the small black slits of his eyes. Jim, he said, Reardon metal seems to be a colossal kind of swindle. Uh-huh, said Taggart. I hear there's not a single expert who's given a favorable report on it. No, not one. We've been improving steel rails for generations and increasing their weight. Now, is it true that these Reardon metal rails are to be lighter than the cheapest grade of steel? That's right, said Taggart. Lighter. But it's ridiculous, Jim. It's physically impossible. For your heavy-duty, high-speed, main-line track? That's right. But you're just inviting disaster. My sister is. Taggart made the stem of his glass whirl slowly between two fingers. There was a moment of silence. The National Council of Metal Industries, said Orrin Boyle, passed a resolution to appoint a committee to study the question of Reardon metal, inasmuch as its use may be an actual public hazard. That is, in my opinion, wise, said Wesley Mouch.